September 2023, the High Court at Machakos issued orders whose effect was to suspend implementation of the resolution of the Senate on the conduct of Senator Gloria Orwoba MP, pending the hearing and determination of the matter. The High Court petition and judicial review application was subsequently merged by the court, heard and determined on the 15th of January 2025. In the judgment, the court dismissed the petition and the judicial review application. The import of this was that the court ordered staying the resolution of the Senate on the report of the Committee on Powers and Privileges, as well as any other consequential orders in the matter that had been filed by the senator lapsed. Now, honorable senators, consequently, in the communication issued on the 12th of February 2025, and in accordance with section 15(7), as read together with paragraph 4 of the third schedule to the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, I proceeded to enforce the resolution of the Senate on the report of the Committee on Powers and Privileges. In the communication, I informed the Senate that the 79 calendar day suspension that ought to be applied in the year 2023 will run from Wednesday 12th of February 2025 to Thursday 1st of May 2025. In light of this directive, Senator Gloria Orwoba MP commenced her suspension as resolved by the Senate on the 20th of September 2023. However, honorable senators will recall that on the 26th of February 2025, the Senate varied its resolution on the report of the committee. Senator Abbas, be attentive, please. The Senate varied its resolution on the report of the Committee on Powers and Privileges on account of Senator Orwoba. The effect of the variation was such that the suspension of the senator was reduced from 79 calendar days to 30 calendar days. Accordingly, the 30 calendar day suspension commenced on the 12th of February 2025 and concluded on the 13th of March 2025. Now, honorable senators, in accordance with the resolutions passed on the 20th of September 2023 and on the 26th of February 2025, Senator Gloria Orwoba is required to tender an apology to the Senate. Honorable senators, the Clerk of the Senate, and the Secretariat of Parliament before being admitted to the Senate. I now invite Senator Gloria Orwoba MP to tender an apology in the manner prescribed in the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges and as adopted by the Senate. Senator Orwoba is required to read the prescribed apology verbatim without any addition, omission, or amendment. Additionally, the apology shall not be followed by any comment by the senator or another senator. Senator Gloria, you may now proceed to tender your apology as you stand at the bar. The other honorable senators may walk in and take their seats.
Mr. Speaker, I, Senator Gloria Orwoba, hereby tender my unreserved apology to this Senate. I undertake that I shall abide by the responsibilities of leadership as set out in the Constitution, the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, and the Parliamentary Powers and Privilege Act 2017. I therefore beseech to be admitted to the chamber. I thank you.
Now, have a seat, Gloria, Senator Gloria. That is not the apology as prescribed by the Senate in the report. Now, let me help you. The Senate sitting on the 20th of September 2023, while considering the report by the Powers and Privileges Committee, passed certain recommendations. One of those recommendations, I believe it was recommendation number 3. It read as follows. On resumption of the Senate sitting for the third session, the senator, while at the bar, apologizes to the Senate, honorable senators, the Clerk of the Senate, and the Secretariat of Parliament before being admitted to the Senate, pursuant to Section 17(3)(c) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017, in the following manner. So the Senate actually came up with the wording of the apology. It is not open to you to craft or word your own apology. The plenary worded the kind of apology that you're supposed to tender, and it goes as follows: that I, Senator Gloria Orwoba, hereby, under my unreserved apology, tender my unreserved apology to the Senate, honorable senators, clerk of the Senate, and the Secretariat of Parliament for having acted in a manner which pursuant to Section 16E and paragraph 7 and 8 of the 4th schedule to the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017 constituted a breach of parliamentary privilege, and that reflected adversely on the dignity and integrity of Parliament and its members, and was contrary to the best interests of Parliament and its members. I undertake that I shall abide by the responsibilities of leadership as set out in the Constitution, the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, and the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017. I therefore beseech to be admitted to the chamber. I thank you. This is the prescribed apology as adopted by the plenary. It cannot be amended. It is only Senate sitting a plenary that can amend the wording. And therefore, Senator Orwoba, proceed to read the apology as prescribed by the plenary and by this Senate.
Mr. Speaker, I have apologized before, and I have no problem reading a prescribed apology, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to draw to your attention that we currently have a court case that is ongoing, Mr. Speaker. And I have been advised, Mr. Speaker, that the prescribed apology in the wording that it has been put, Mr. Speaker, I've been advised that it is self-incriminating and it undermines my right to a fair process with the current court proceeding that is there. Mr. Speaker, I have no problem apologizing to the House. I've apologized to the House. I continue to say that I apologize for my conduct. I continue to seek to my colleagues that I am sorry on the ways that I offended them. I have no issues apologizing. Even now I am apologizing, Mr. Speaker. And I brought this to your attention prior to this sitting, that there is a sentence there that actually is self-incrimination and that can be used against me in an ongoing court process. And because of this, Mr. Speaker, I had kindly requested to give the apology as I have read it, and even to further tell my colleagues and to this House that I continue to be sorry for the conduct that they perceived to be unbecoming. Mr. Speaker, I don't know how else to appeal, because as I stand here, Mr. Speaker, I have sat out my suspension without pay. I have suffered the consequences of reporting issues, Mr. Speaker, and I continue to suffer those consequences, and I'm okay with that. However, Mr. Speaker, I really don't understand in whose interest it is for a prescribed apology with a self-incriminating sentence that actually puts me in an issue. So, Mr. Speaker, I appeal to my colleagues and to this House. I am sorry. I don't know how else to say I am sorry. I have said I'm sorry before. No. I am saying I'm sorry again, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, you cannot raise a point of order. The senator is not properly admitted to the House. So you cannot raise a point of order against her. Now, Senator Gloria, let me help you. It is not up to the Speaker or the Chair to vary the apology. The apology was prescribed by the Senate sitting at a plenary. It is only the plenary sitting again to reopen this matter and amend that particular apology. As it stands, it must be read as contained in the report. So you either read this apology as prescribed, or you go think about it and come back at any day, any time that you'll be willing to read it as is prescribed. There is no two-way about it, because by allowing the apology that you've read out, and basically usurping the powers of plenary by amending a report that was passed and adopted by this Senate. I do not have those powers.
I stand guided, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
I will, I have, as I've said, I have no problem reading it. But I have been advised, Mr. Speaker, and I'm not a legal expert. And I have an ongoing court case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
So
it's
I don't know
simple.
what else is required from me, Mr.
The
Speaker.
chair is speaking, Senator Gloria. You know our standing orders. I have told you that there's only two ways. There are only two ways. You either read as prescribed, walk in and take your seat, or you don't read as prescribed and you walk out until such a time that you'll be ready to read the oath as prescribed. Which way do you want to go?
Mr. Speaker, having had your advice and noting that by reading this apology, I will be incriminating myself, noting that this is attached to my work, I find that very unfair. Mr. Speaker, I stand by my dignity and I stand by where I am, and I have no option. Where you have left me, I have no option but to walk away from my duties, because I cannot read an incriminating statement on a matter that has not been investigated. And Mr. Speaker, as it stands, I want to say that this being the last statement that I make, I continue to stand by my statements, and I want to say that it is truly unfair that an incriminating statement is being put in an apology so that I can tie myself down to something that has not been investigated, not by Parliamentary Service Commission, not by this House, not by an independent one. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I have no option but to actually walk away from chambers as you have directed, Mr. Speaker. And having said that, I would also want to inform this House that it is happening to me now, but it is going to happen to you in the future, because I am not fighting anyone. I am actually saying I reported a case, it has not been investigated, and the powers that be are actually influencing a process so that I can incriminate myself and therefore perjure myself in a court case that is ongoing. I find this very unfair, and this being the upper house, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I'm disappointed, and I want to say that I am not going to trade a salary for something that has not been investigated. I can stay without the salary, I can stay without the position, Mr. Speaker, and I still continue to say it is unfair that someone who has reported a matter is being taken through this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order, clerk.
It's okay. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5.
Neke. MCA nyoka ngoko. Neke. Gavana nyoka haha. Nyoka haha. Gavana mwita akigumo. Muti mugere bataraitha na ngugu na nchi. Tondoka ngoko ni mugo mwira mathina manyu na matiendaga. Gaka kerutire kuhakwo ndoro ya kahua. Riu karahakwo riri wa kahua. Hallelujah. Hero boyo nete muno reine tone nama. Etagwo nama nation minor. Kanua karia gakugeire bu. Noko gakugera. Kanua koigete ndungihota. Noko. Hey, kareo. Natisa ya mekoro reine tone nation minor YouTube uthikireni. Kanua karia koigete wa musoba ndangihota. Niko maraiga haya. Kareo. Kaya kazi kwa kina bugo kongera wadike hota. Ndio maana madiga no na todo to mo mendaga. Kai ni we. Akadewe akatiwe. Kaya murathime ekinde guthikiriria. Ndahoya munjitekirie. Tondu mreje mwe na biashara ingi mwe yagire mutigaretie. Ndio mutige murikie biashara na mukigaya pesa cianyu. Kaya muririkanie kihwa gitigerio biashara yake. Nemori maga makorofia. Tarekenya nene ndoge na mema makorofia mangiuga ni mari kwao. Aya. Ni inyuothe. No mwende tuthondeke makorobia thogori yao ihanete na ya kahũa no mwende tucokanĩrie makorobia maitũ itũra rĩrĩ tugethage mũthenya ũmwe nĩgetha ici magege gũtũiyaga no mwende mwĩtagwo mũcemanio ta ũyũ mũkarutĩrwo rĩtiania makorobia otogwo mũrarutĩrwo ya kahũa tigai kũngeria ũguo nĩguo mũrenda koguo ndihĩtĩtie tũnyitanĩte na athuri me haha tũgathondeka thothaate ya kahũa ya makorobia nĩhĩtĩtie haya okorwo ndũraiguĩte rĩ rĩu igua twĩna thothaate ya makorobia wabici nĩ hĩndĩ tũracaria kũhingũra no tũhithĩtio kũrĩa gwĩtagwo Kaibu ego chairman nĩguo tũhithĩtie wa mbere tondũ gĩthĩi gĩake gĩ bara-inĩ na wa kerĩ nĩarĩ na structures nĩarĩ na tũrumu angĩtũhe kamwe hau nĩho tũhithĩtwo nginya tũgĩe tũbeca twa makorobia tũrenda mũingĩre thothaate ĩyo ya makorobia tũthondeke thothaate itũ tondũ nĩ tũrarora harĩa kabere nĩ ũndũ kĩ ngĩka campaign ndamwĩrire atĩrĩrĩ mũgũnda wĩ harĩa wa Rũhiũ farm wa 55 acres witũ mũingĩ nĩngenda wakwo kĩganda kĩa makorobia ndĩrarũa kũrĩa nĩ thirikari nene ndatigĩrĩra milioni 250 nĩciĩkĩrwo kĩganda kĩu gĩakwo ũrĩa ikarũhiũ rĩu kĩganda kĩu rĩ kĩ haha nĩ kĩrekĩrwo rũfu gĩthiĩte gũthiĩ ndĩrenda gĩkĩrĩka ndĩmũcarĩrie mũndũ oke amwĩkĩrĩre macini kũu amwenjere maĩ kũu tũpangage makorobia marĩa mothe twarogota gũkũ tũrĩmatwaraga wa Rũhiũ tũgathambĩria wa Rũhiũ tũkagirĩrĩra wa Rũhiũ tũkaheheria wa Rũhiũ tũkapakĩra wa Rũhiũ baya aigũraga kĩndũ gĩkĩtwo value addition to that level tuko sawa hatuko sawa korwo nĩ tũrĩkĩtie gwaka wa Rũhiũ tũtingĩaga mũndũ wa gũka gũtwĩkĩrĩra macini tũmũrĩhage kahora macini icio ciothe nĩ mbeca nini tũngĩhota ithuĩ tũngĩrutĩra no nĩ ndĩreciria twĩna mũbango mwega mũngĩtĩkĩra kũingĩra thĩinĩ wa thothaate ya makorobia wangapi wataingia kwa society wacha nione karibu wĩna kanyamũ kuma rũciũ rĩ kararĩhwo mbeca cigana 500 500 macio no wage 500 macio 5 ndũngĩaga ndiũĩ kana chairman nĩ mũrĩ na mũndũ mũigĩte kũu wa society gũkũ nĩ ũgũkĩta gũkũ
Instagram wotano kana no tumaregister no muthi
koguo we no maregister mwarĩkia biacara ya kahũa ũngĩkorwo nĩ kũigua nĩ kwenda kũregister wone mũthuri ũcio warũgama haha akũregister nĩgetha tũkose mũgũri wothe ũgũraga kũrĩa Mũrang'a tũngĩmũhũndũra ũkĩagũrage Gĩthũngũri ekũria nĩ arĩmi aigana me thothaate-inĩ ĩyo mena kilo cigana cia makorobia katiguoi kwa hivyo nataka nyinyi wote muingie number 2 andũ akomothai wega umaga naku arafu murenda kũnjiguaga ngĩka kũrĩa kũngĩ na gũkũ ndiĩkĩte ũũ koguo mũtikandeti down mũingĩre thĩinĩ wa thothaate tũkwanjĩrĩria na ndũgũ na chairman ũyũ witũ chairman no tũgĩe ndũgũ nawe handũ ha andũ matinda magĩcaria kũrĩa megũtwara makorobia rĩ no tumagĩrĩrie tũkarehe haha na kilo haha tugathima makorobia magekĩrwo ngari aya makainuka makorobia magatwarwo kũ wa Rũhiũ hau nĩ hega nĩ mũgwĩtĩkĩra arĩmi na angĩkorwo hena thĩna o wothe igũrũ rĩgiĩ mũbango ũcio ndĩnaguo angĩkorwo he rĩciria wĩnarĩo rĩegega gũkĩra ũguo no nyende gũgũthikĩrĩria ũka Gĩthũngũri wabici yakwa ĩkoragwo ĩ open ona gũtuĩka thaa ici nĩ tũreka renovations no tũtingĩaga gũtungatĩra tondũ tũreka renovation maraikara na metha nja hema-inĩ magĩthondekerwo wabici koguo kwĩna andũ ũhe rĩciria rĩrĩa wĩnarĩo chairman witũ wa thothaate ĩno ũrĩa ũrekĩrirwo hinya nĩ chairman wa gũkũ Komothai ũretwo etagwo atĩa rĩu rĩngĩ Stephen Kĩrĩ wa Ngũgĩ na nĩ mwarimũ ũcio nĩ mũmũĩ mwarimũ ũrĩa tũkĩte nake gũkũ wa coordinator maũndũ ma kahũa ena degree ya ngirigaca he has done a degree in agriculture ni mũndũ ũtĩĩtwo mũno thĩinĩ wa thirikari na nĩ aingĩrĩte nginya ũhoro-inĩ wĩgiĩ municipality ĩno ya Gĩthũngũri koguo nĩ mũndũ wĩna mĩaramano no tũmũhũthĩre atũteithie vice chair nĩ wendo mwa Gĩtũngũrũ vice chair nĩ ndũmũ wa Gĩtũngũrũ na nĩ mũkĩmũĩ na kanua koguo no mwaka mwarimũ akaheo mũndũ ũkũhota kwarĩrĩria maũndũ tondũ mwarimũ ti mũndũ wa kwaria mũno nĩ mwaheo tha rĩu nyinũke ndĩmũtige mũkĩrĩkie maũndũ manyu
petition on unfair terms of service and in delay in absorption of all the 8,571 health workers under Universal Health Coverage USC contract. So, Honorable Speaker, we did what you sent us to do, and they have agreed that we look for a way forward, which I will request my what can I call him? My colleague, Senator for Nairobi, to give the way forward, because we have proposed something with them so that also it can look like a serious House, Honorable Speaker. Yeah, thank you so much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And first of all, I thank you for the confidence in both the Senator of Meru and myself to be able to execute that duty that you have sent on behalf of the House. Indeed, we have had a conversation with members of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, and also UHC workers from across the country, Honorable Speaker. They were the guests who are making all that merry outside our gate. And as the Senator for Meru has said, Chair, these are not new matters. It is compliance by the national government and the county governments with a collective bargaining agreement that was signed after that long strike that we had with KMPDU. Apparently, the concerned government agencies are not complying with that. And secondly, Honorable Speaker, they say that even though the counties are deducting the 2.75% share every month, they are not remitting it to the authority. And therefore, even when they fall sick themselves, and there are medical practitioners who are taking care of us, but when they fall sick themselves, SHA is not honoring those claims because the county governments are not remitting the 2.75 that they deduct, which is something that is unacceptable, Honorable Speaker, and it is in the place of this House to ensure that there is compliance by county governments in terms of remittance of all deductions from salaried workers. Honorable Speaker, lastly, of course, there's the issue we have discussed here many times about absorption of the universal health care workers, especially those who are not working in national hospitals. We had that debate here, Honorable Speaker, where a few of their colleagues were absorbed, and now they are on permanent and pensionable basis. But those who are not absorbed, Honorable Speaker, although they have the same roles and they execute the same workload, they are paid almost 3 times less than what their colleagues on permanent and pensionable basis are paid. So our suggestion to them, Honorable Speaker, and they have agreed, and we want to beseech this House so that we deal with this issue with the sort of dignity that it requires. We cannot have our medical practitioners on the streets out there. We have invited them, and I hope that you will agree to this, Honorable Speaker, to a meeting that will happen with the Committee on Health of this House, and we have proposed that we invite the Chair of the Council of Governors or a representative of the Council of Governors, together with the Cabinet Secretary responsible for health, and we will provide the necessary environment for all these issues to be ironed out in a manner that will leave everybody satisfied on the challenges that the government is facing, on the CBA and all these other issues of absorption of UHC workers. And from then on, Honorable Speaker, we can at least see light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm hoping that the Senate adopts that proposal that we have made together with my colleague from Meru as a way forward for this particular matter. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Speaker and the Senator for Nairobi. Now, Honorable Senators, you know, don't get irritated when Kenyans come petitioning this House. In fact, it goes to prove one thing, the trust and confidence they have in you as a leadership. And therefore, whenever these things happen, it's good to give these people a shoulder to lean on, listen to them, and as a leadership, let's seek for solutions that will address their problems. Now, having listened to the Deputy Speaker and the Senator for Nairobi, I do direct the Secretariat through the clerk that a meeting be caused between the Health Committee, COG, and the CS Health to discuss this matter. And that meeting should be called as soon as possible. We know we are going on recess on Thursday. If that can be done within the first week of the recess so that we get to the bottom of this and offer solutions. I wouldn't want to be the speaker who presided over public relations with such heavy matters. Those workers who petitioned Parliament, they're living with a lot of hope that some solutions will be found by this House. Let us not let them down. So let that meeting happen. They will, of course, be attending that particular meeting. And I believe if all the stakeholders are brought on the same table, we should be able to fashion a wonderful way forward. Yes, Honorable Senator.
Thank you for that direction, Chair. My last request is that you allow me to table the petitions
Kindly.
that we have received.
Kindly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
That will be the basis of that meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make some brief comments on the statement brought by the distinguished senator from Marsabit, the Honorable Mohamed Chute. Mr. Speaker, this issue of vaccines is something which is very dear to some of us. It is a big lesson that all of us must learn, that whenever you plan for anything, you must be able to get the buy-in of the professionals. There was a lot of hullabaloo, including even myself, saying clearly that my cows will not be vaccinated. You'll excuse my speech today because I have a small disability in my mouth, but I'll attempt to maybe put my message across. The issue of vaccine is something which is very, very important. And what we've learned during the entire exercise, although I can still stand here very strongly and say I never allowed my cows to be vaccinated, there was a huge disconnect between the DVS and the county government in regards to passing the information on the vaccines which were coming out, mostly which were FMD. Mr. Speaker, this House has been set up to defend devolution. And when you see that there's a function that is supposed to be carried out by the county government, but the national government is the one which is raising so much hullabaloos on it, then we in this House must be very, very careful so that we do not lose our functions, especially for our county governments. It is imperative, Mr. Speaker, that Dr. Alan Nasangele, who is the DVS, come before the Agricultural Committee to be able to provide full information on the FMD vaccines. I remember one day I was having a conversation with the Cabinet Secretary, the new Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, and he said something which was very important to me. He said that if these drugs or these vaccines are to be imported, there has to be a demonstration that from the country which they are being imported from, they are being used by those animals. Later on, when I continued talking to him, he insisted that these vaccines are produced locally, they are manufactured locally by Kevivapi. So it is important that our county governments, very, very important, that our county government develop extension workers who can then be able to educate livestock farmers on what, on the policy of the Ministry of Agriculture when it comes to the issue of vaccination, and also on the kind of vaccines which were being carried out. I inquired heavily on this matter. And this is why I'm so passionate about the issue of livestock. And I was told that the type of vaccines which were going to be rolled out were two of them. One is FMD, And the other one was a PPR, which was mostly for the sheep and goat. The problem, and this is where we go wrong in this country, the problem is lack of communication, proper communication, such that you don't get a buy-in from the professionals. So I appreciate Senator Chute for raising this matter so that we can be clear. If indeed Kevivapi are the ones who produce these vaccines, it will be important for the health committee to be able to go in to Kevivapi facilities, see the entire process. Because, Mr. Speaker, there's a lot which is being discussed worldwide about the issue of vaccines. When you hear Bill Gates saying that these cows need to be vaccinated so that they stop fatting, it worries us. So really, for us, it is imperative that we're educated. And now, our county government must take their role seriously. Earlier on, Mr. Speaker, we're in the Health Committee, and we are looking at the budget of the Health Committee. And when we're going through the budget of the Ministry of Health, you realize that there's a presidential directive that has directed the Ministry of Health to be able to build sub-county health centers. When you look at the Schedule 4 of the Constitution, that is a function for county governments. And one of the things that was a bit vexing is the fact that one county, Wasingishu County, was being allocated 700 million when my own county of Narok is getting zero. So really, we just have to very selfishly guard devolution and protect devolution. So this issue of vaccine, Mr. Speaker, it is something that the Council of Governors should have taken over. Because even if the DVS is the one that coordinates, but the implementation is carried out by the county councils, by the county governments. So when farmers are saying, what is happening? And even us who are their ombudspersons cannot be able to tell them that this is what is going on, then our communication leads a lot to be desired and must change. So it's important to actually note that currently as a country we do not have any foreign FMD manufacturer registered